I am pleased to welcome my first guest today, Marc Lasry, co-founder, CEO, and chairman of Avenue Capital Group. With 3 decades of tenure as a fund manager, Avenue now has nearly $13 billion in assets under management. Marc, welcome. It's great to have you here today.
It's great to see you again. Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming in, and I'm so glad you're here to talk about all things sports. And there's a lot happening in the world of sports. Of course, we had the recent news last fall about the NFL and being able to take in the private equity minority stakes. There's also rumors about investing in college sports. There's golf, esports, you name it. There's a lot for us to talk about. And what I love about this opportunity is that you have personal experience investing in sports. And now at Avenue Capital, you're focusing part of the strategy on thinking about where the opportunities are in the sports ecosystem. So with that, let's jump in. And my first question is about that personal investment that you made. And you were the co-owner of the Milwaukee Bucks from 2014.
Yep.
You sold it in 2023. What was that experience like?
It was a great experience. I loved it. I thought it was pretty unique. You got to go in the locker room. You got to talk to the players. It was just fun. But more important, you got to learn about the business of sports. The one thing you want to do is you want to get the best players. But to get the best players, you have to have money. And so for us, we ended up focusing on that, and I learned quite a bit.
Right. So it was fun, and it was also a profitable enterprise as well. And there's been quite a bit of growth in terms of value of the team when you bought it versus when you sold it. How do you think about value creation when you own a sports team? How do you drive that?
When you bought the team was last in the league and everything, and then it moved up. Obviously, we won the championship. That was great. I remember when we won, you get to hold up the trophy.
Yeah.
Right, and that's kind of fun.
A very cool experience.
It's very cool, right? It's on national TV, everybody's watching. And before I go out, my son looks at me and goes, whatever you do, don't drop it.
Yes, good advice.
So I get the trophy. It's kind of heavy. So I'm lifting it with 2 hands like this, it's great. And then 5 minutes later, Giannis grabs the trophy and he's like with 1 hand going like this.
Don't drop it. Yeah.
It was a cool experience and it was a lot of fun.
Obviously it's a great experience, and also as an owner, you have to think about valuations and growing those valuations. So what have you learned about, what's the magic, what's the secret sauce to growing a valuation of a franchise?
So teams only make money 3 ways. It's going to be ticket sales, it's going to be sponsorship, and it's going to be media. The one that really grows is media. If you look at the last NBA deal, you were getting about, I'd say sort of $2.7 billion per year. And now you're going to get somewhere around $7 billion.
That's a huge step up.
That's where the real focus should be. And I think for us, when we're trying to invest in teams or in leagues, anything we try to invest in, we look at where the media could be, because that's going to be where you're going to make the most money.
Well, let's talk about valuations of media rights. As you mentioned, there's been a huge step up, especially in the NBA, but it's been there for other places as well. So if I'm an investor that's new to sports, what is my entry point today? Is it quite as attractive as it was 5 years ago? Am I going to look back on this time and say, oh no, I shouldn't have been investing in these high valuations?
I think ultimately in sports, your teams are going to grow around sort of 10 to 15% a year. Right, so if you're investing in the NFL, if you're investing in the NBA, baseball, or hockey, you're going to make about 10, 15 a year. If you look at sort of all those teams over sort of a 20-year period, the average has been 11.8%. So, and that's NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and football.
I mentioned at Avenue Capital, you do focus on identifying sports opportunities as well. After selling the team in 2023, why the pivot? Why did you decide to pursue investing in sports at your business?
Well, I love sports, right? And
that's a good reason.
It's a good reason. And I think I understand it. And owning a team, you get to meet everybody, but more important, you understand sort of the business of sports. So for us, we've invested in a bull riding team. Why did we invest in bull riding? Because we think their next media deal is going to be multiples of what the current one. We invested in Sail GP. So here's a sailing league. Here's a great question for you. We have 350 million Americans in this country. All right. Do you know how many watch hockey? 500,000.
500,000,000.
Half a
That's
million.
it.
That's it. Baseball, 1 million. Basketball, 1.5 million.
Right.
So when you think about it, you got 350.
That sounds like a niche sport.
It does.
Right.
No, but they're getting paid so much, but the amount of people who are watching. So where it ends up is really on the playoffs. In the playoffs, they'll have 10 or 15 million people watching. So bull riding has 1.2 million viewers. That's more than baseball.
That's shocking.
It is. For the one that really will shock you, sailing. Sail GP had a race. They had 1.8 million viewers. So when you start looking at it, what we're trying to do is find those viewers, and you actually automatically see the ratings. So you know how many people are watching, so we're investing in those. We want to invest in women's sports. Why? Because that's fastest growing. When I was a kid, if I went to a game, I went with my brother. He never took my sister. Today, the idea, you have a daughter. Would the idea of bringing her to a game, like, do you say, no, I would never bring her because she's
Of course I would. Of course I would bring her.
Of course
She'd
you
love
would.
That.
But that's what it is. That has changed. And because of that, people are more interested in women's sports. I think women's sports is huge. I think there's a huge opportunity there, whether it's women's soccer, whether it's women's volleyball, WNBA. But what you're seeing the spike in ratings for everybody. And what that means is that more and more people are watching, right? And we're trying to find the areas where more people watch. And that's happening a lot in women's sports. So that's a big focus of what we're doing.
Right. How niche is women's sports right now, or is it? And how much scaling do you think will happen?
Oh, it's huge scaling. Here's a great statistic. Caitlin Clark, in her final game of women's basketball in the championship game, you had close to 20 million viewers. That's more than I've ever watched the NHL playoffs, Major League Baseball playoffs, the World Series, and only one NBA game has come close to that. That was LeBron and Steph. So when you look at it, there's this huge interest. And on the media side for women's sports, their first deal was $1.5 million. Their next deal was $60 million a year. And why? Because there's more people watching, more young girls, more young men. Go to a Liberty game in New York. You go there, you're going to see half of the people are men. Right? So why is that? Because I think people just want to see the best in the world compete. And those are the best athletes.
You brought up Caitlin Clark, and that kind of, raises another point, which is there's this rise of a personality. There's a rise of a persona. There's the image. And, it's certainly been true for a long time in professional sports, and it's becoming true in college sports. And do you see the path for private equity taking stakes in college sports?
Yes, I think there is. We're negotiating with a number of teams, a number of schools, for us to invest in their programs. I think that's going to be the next wave.
And what is the monetization potential of that, right?
So what you do with a college team is you're investing in a team that people want to see and people want to watch. And it's going to be the same thing, that over the next 10 years, you're going to have more people coming, ticket sales will go up. You'll end up having more sponsorship. And more important, the media will go up. By us investing in it, we're giving them money to grow and to achieve all those goals.
So one of the other growth areas we have seen is in esports and golf. And now there's this convergence of the two, which is the Tomorrow Golf League. And you are an investor and a backer of the San Francisco team. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we invested in that with Steph Curry. It was a great investment. We ended up buying that team for around $37 million. You're looking at a new league that got started, and really what it is just golf, and you can watch it for 2 hours. The ratings ended up being about in excess of 1 million viewers, which is great. I just want everybody to know when we played our first game, shockingly, we crushed them.
Not shocking to you.
Yeah, not shocking to me, and we won, and we did a great job.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We certainly spent a lot of time here at Capitol as well, supporting our golf ambassadors, so that's a great venue as well. And Marc, I guess when you think about the next 10 years and the future of sports, what's your, one or two big predictions for, what's the sport of the next 10 years? What's the biggest growth opportunity you see today, or any other prediction you might have?
People love the Premier League. Right? And you're seeing that. What you find with soccer is around the world, everybody loves it. You could go to China, you could go to the Philippines, and you'll see somebody likes Manchester United or they like Chelsea. But you're seeing that that's a sport that has no boundaries. So I think for us, that's something we want to invest in, and we have. We've already invested in a number of teams that we think are going to do exceptionally well over the next few years.
Well, we'll certainly watch that, especially in the lead up to the World Cup in
I know,
2026.
that'll be fun.
Personal question, do you think you'll personally invest in a franchise again?
I hope so. I think so. I think we'll either invest in one of the teams or we'll try to do something when the NBA tries expansion with, I think it'll be Seattle and Vegas. It could be Mexico City. But I think in the next year or two, we'll try to get involved.
Well, we'll certainly watch that. And Marc, thanks so much for coming in today and sharing, your personal experience with sports and the Avenue Capital focus on sports investing. And it certainly takes knowledge of the space and a lot of some of the star athlete connections that you've built over the years to really make that successful. So thank you so much, Marc, for your time today.
Thank you.